Welcome everybody to the Blue House Bull Session. We are happy to have you here on Wednesday, May 1st, right? Like, I'm looking at the calendar. That's today, May 1st. I put that
It's
on the
about that
thing.
time.
Joined by the lovely and talented Amaya Sings. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us today. Uh,
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
we have some fans of yours in chat already. I'm seeing that. For anyone who is not, I can fix that. Let's give you a shout out real quick here. You've been doing video game music streams in general, a lot of karaoke style streaming, um,
Yep.
and you have been teasing that you might be doing some game stuff coming up here. What's going on with that?
Yeah. Um, well, so I'm hitting about the busiest point in my work year like now. Like right now. Now it begins. It's not too bad like literally today, but it's going to get pretty crazy in May, and then we kind of wind down in June throughout most of the summer. And so yeah, I'll have some time to actually do a little bit more with my stream. I used to do some game streams for fun here and there way before I really self-branded myself as like a Maya Sings or whatever. Like I always have had my name, but not born with this name. Some people know that, some people are really thrown off by it, but no, just my chosen handle. But I've had the same for at least like 12 years at this point. And yeah, no, I used to do like pseudo speed runs of like Donkey Kong Country 2, and my chat voted on, between a few options I gave them, they seem to gravitate toward Donkey Kong Country games in general out of those options. So hopefully, I don't know, we'll set something up that should be easy enough to run. And I like retro games, you know? I'm a retro girly when it comes to
I
just
dig
having
it.
fun with it. That's in my muscle memory, but I like new stuff too when I have time for it. Like right now I've been playing through a lot of well, when I have time, I've been playing through some of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it's a lot of fun. And that's another thing that I'll tackle over the summer, but probably not on stream.
I mean,
So
you
yeah.
could. You would have the viewers. I will say that you would have the viewers, 100%.
People who would have some fun. Yeah. I mean, it's a silly game. It has some pretty heartfelt moments, but also it gets silly, and I get
Yeah.
silly with it. So yeah, but I'll still continue to do music streams. It'll just probably look like, maybe a Tuesday, Thursday format, with one being the game stream and the other being more the karaoke music request stuff.
Dig
But
it.
yeah, hi everybody in chat. Thank you for coming in. I see my friendos.
I'm
Love y'all.
happy. I see so many familiar faces because I hang around and moderate for your streams too. So I know a lot of these
Yes.
people. I know Bapu.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
how are you?
these these guys look familiar. That's right. Yeah, if you guys have never hopped over to Jay's stream, well, there you go, Jay. And then we've got Uber Fuzzy, who's usually kind of just chilling in the chat. He's around.
I've been
He pokes
watching a
in and
lot of
out.
his dev stuff recently. He's been working extra hard on Hurdle Games related projects recently and some of his own, and I've just been kind of zoned into that. It's co-working, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
It's body
absolutely.
doubling, and that's been
Yeah.
a huge help.
Yeah. Oh, I love a good body double. I've done that with friends. Befu and I have done that with projects. It is such a help for my like ADHD brain
100%.
sometimes to
No,
just yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Just
Yeah.
having someone that you know is there with you while you are doing a thing, a world of difference. World of difference.
Yeah. 100%.
So
But yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you got into doing the karaoke streaming thing, and
Oh,
we're gonna
sure.
plug some of the charity events that are upcoming too and everything. But
Sounds good.
where did it all begin?
Where did it all begin? Well, I guess how much of a history lesson do you want?
Well, we got an hour before the ad break. As much as you care to share, I want these people to know everything they can about you.
Sure. All right. Well, you see, it all began as a small child. No. Um, no. Okay. So we'll skip through the childhood part. I've always liked to sing, but I was very shy, very quiet as a kid. I'd sing in the car, in my room, not really to people. Actually, I was a band kid. I played flute most of my life until, like 5th grade on, and then I think I got to like senior year of high school, and I finally said, you know what, let's try out for the gosh darn talent show. Let's show those choir kids I can sing too. Gosh darn it, they won't shut up in the hallway. It's that like high school spice, the
Yeah.
high school angst that I feel like, yeah, so many of them have. And so whatever, I tried out, but I also tried out I had self arranged my own Final Fantasy 4-piece medley on flute because I'm a nerd. Oh yeah,
Back in high school, you were arranging video game music.
yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
just wanted to confirm that.
yeah, big weeb, right? Big weeb energy. And I mean, I did have scores to go off of. I think that year I had gotten my, it was like Final Fantasies, the best of piano book collection for like 1 through 10. It's still
Yeah.
in the basement somewhere. And so I had some, and then, I'd pop around online for other references and stuff. And so finding things in the key of C is just not hard, flute arranging for flute, it's not too bad. So most of it was just kind of the sheet music, and then it was just me making my own segues that made sense into the songs, and just like getting the order of it down. So anyway, that got me my spot in the school talent show. People really loved it, but then, I sang something. I think I sang actually, and I don't remember if I did it in Japanese or English, but I'm pretty sure my first like singing audition was Angela Aki's "Kiss Me Goodbye," which was featured in Final Fantasy 12. Hi, I know, big nerd. And yeah, I've always, and that's the thing with me. Like, I never. There were, I guess, a couple reasons I never joined choir. Partially, I was shy, and I think the other part was just I kind of wanted to do what I wanted to do with singing. Red, hello, hi, welcome in. Nice to see you. So yeah, I always kind of did what I wanted to do, and I kind of saw it as, it'd be cool to sing in a group, but also I don't know that I care to sing what I'm mandated to sing. I like my
Yeah.
video game songs. I was always a little bit of a gamer, and I didn't have that many friends at the time that also were gamers. Not till I was, yeah, in like my later years of high school, and then finally into college I made lifelong friends, and married somebody too who's a who's a gamer. And so yeah, so anyway, so that's always what I've loved to sing, so it's been so fun to see it come full circle with my streams, but also with other projects I've done over the years too. And yeah, I was denied for singing in the talent show, and to be honest, I don't think that I really had the confidence or necessarily the full sound that I can achieve today, as a work in progress, is my first go at it. And and I got the instrument side of things, and there were plenty of other singers, so I was like, okay, whatever. um and then I guess really the next time that I tried to do anything and break out with singing was there were little college events, cultural things, and I had just learned songs in Japanese because my favorite artist, Angela Aki, you guessed it, I would just learn some of her stuff, and so I would sing that for little um whatever cultural immersion, little mini dorm events, things like that, because I was on some kind of leadership team, I remember, my freshman year. So it's like, hey, I'm singing in the basement of a dorm for 20 people, woohoo, so that was probably the most people I'd ever sung in front of in my life to that
It's a
point.
crowd, even if it's a tiny crowd. It's a crowd, by goodness.
Yeah, right. So and it went over well. It was always like, I always had positive, I guess, reinforcement, I guess, compliments from people. So, for somebody that went from not doing that and just finally breaking out of my shell as a human being, but also as a musician, singer, etc., it's kind of like, okay, well, that's encouraging. Well, we'll see if there's another opportunity down the line, but no big deal. So I didn't really have like a vision, I guess, for singing for a long time. But I think later on, a couple years down the line, I was my junior year of college, and I did my college always put on this event, and it was called it's like the multicultural dinner, and it was always this winter event that happened, and all of the cultures that we, had on campus, from, oh, we have a club that represents this population, or we have exchange students too that like usually will represent different cultures, whatever. We'd all come together, including the people just in the club, so you didn't have to be an exchange student to take part in it
Yeah.
and to like help and volunteer or be part of the acts, but you at least had to be part of one of the cultural clubs to do a thing, and you'd usually work together with the other people. So um I remember my junior year we did this really kind of cool thing where it took a little bit of technical finagling, but, and I don't remember exactly what this is called, this like art, but there is a Japanese competitive like calligraphy competition, I guess, that they'll hold, where you're doing like calligraphy on large scale, like huge poster paper, and you're doing it with like larger brushes and like normal ones too, but you're doing it with a team of people, like think like 8 to 10 people, and you're making like basically like a mini poem or like a phrase with kanji, and then also adding in your own little artistic lines, and like, you know, maybe a little, you'll add colors or different little art pieces on the side to help represent or symbolize. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, and so, like, in Japan, like, it is a thing. Again, I wish I remembered what it was called, but you could probably look it up. Competitive kanji competition, I don't know. And anyway, I didn't do that part, okay? But like 8 other people did that part, and they were like, "Yo, it would be so cool if we had some singers make music while we do this." And basically they had like a webcam that was like a top-down view that was projected onto the big screen, you know, because this was happening in an auditorium stage. So this was a 300 plus person event easily, with all the people in the community too that would just come in on this one Saturday for the dinner. It was a big event. So yeah, so they did their thing, and then we did a lot of practice runs to make sure, hey, from the start to the end of the song, you guys are getting your timing down. You start and you end your piece pretty much perfectly with the timing of the tune. And it was me and another girl singing, so I wasn't by myself, and that was probably for the best because it was my first like big performance. And they wanted to do Sanctuary, or rather Passions, in Japanese, which is the Kingdom Hearts 2 song. So um yeah, so that's what we did. And it was really fun. It was really like cool to see the collaboration of everybody and just kind of watch that all come together. Very yeah, just such a very interesting like first time to have to sing in front of a crowd that big. And I've always felt like if I have other people on stage with me, it's just, you know, you get a little nervous, but it's just not as intimidating as being on your own or being like the front person or whatever. So we lived through that experience. It went well. It was good. And then I did the talent show that year. I got accepted in the talent show. And this was, you know, this was college too. And
Yeah.
so and there was cash money prizes, you know. So I gathered together a little band of musicians, and one of them was an acquaintance that I knew through my husband. And this guy was like a rollerblader. That's how they knew each other. But he was also an amazing saxophonist. I know, right? He was so good at both, and he chose ultimately to stop rollerblading over time because he's like, well, if I injure my hands, I'm kind of done. Like, you know, what do you
Yeah,
do with
that
that?
is true. That is true.
So, but I did get him as part of my trio, and then he knew a guy that played piano, so it was the three of us that teamed up, and they were like, "Yo, this is just so much fun. We're music majors, and you're not, and you want to sing stuff, and we're down for the fun times. Like this is just fun for us. This is just dessert. You whatever you want, as long as we have some kind of reference to go from, we are Gucci." And I was like, "Let's go."
I told
So,
you people say that unironically, Fuzzy. I told you people say
I
that unironically.
That's just a stupid millennial thing at this point. That's not even a Gen Z thing. That's just it's just I'm just crusty
I
and old and I want to be cool, you know.
I know I called it came up on some video or something, and I called Jason out on it the next time he said it, and I put that brain worm into him, and now he's second guessing himself every time he goes to say it, and he even apologized it when he typed it one day. So now it's just in his head. He's it's like you are now manually breathing. It's like you are now manually Gucci. It's like it's
This
just
is validation. Someone else does this.
Oh my gosh. I love
Sorry,
that.
didn't mean to
I
break your
absolutely love
flow
it. No,
there.
no, no. That's okay. I've kind of low key been like, man, is that still cool? Do people still say that? Actually in recent history I've heard Jiggy say it on stream.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I don't know. Is he
And
cool? No, I'm just
if
kidding.
there's
I'm just
anyone
kidding.
in touch with today's youth and the cool people, it would be our dear friend
It,
Michael.
yeah, it probably honestly probably would.
he
It
is
ain't
a
me.
youth
Yeah,
He is. I know
he
he
is
thinks he's
baby.
old, and I'm like,
baby.
No, you are
Oh,
baby, Bella.
he's baby.
Sorry.
That's okay. But anyway, to carry on, we so I chose two Angela Key songs. Wow, shock. He BB, yeah. And one of them was actually a Ben Folds song.
Oh,
Which
oh.
was Still Fighting It, but it
Now,
was done in
yeah,
Japanese.
now you're speaking my language. I love that. I
Yeah,
have to interject because you brought up Ben Folds and
sure.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Have you heard the Japanese cover he's done of breakup song, ex girlfriend?
No.
The heck is
No,
that
but
song
send it
called?
to me.
I will send it to you. It's
Um
fantastic.
when around the time that I did this talent show, I know that that cover of Still Fighting It was it was newer at the time. So we're talking like 2010ish, I think. 2009, somewhere in there. And I know that Angela Key and Ben Folds, like they kind of like co-arranged, like they, I don't know, they co-arranged stuff, like they were friends back at that time. I have no idea about now, but so I thought that was like an interesting little trivial bit. But
Yeah.
anyway, I mostly chose that song because my other song was just an Angela Key original, and I knew nobody would know that. And I wanted, like, basically we had two rounds. We had a preliminary round that everybody in the show that got chosen was going to do for sure, and then if we made it into the finals, we got to go again. So I was like, let's bust out the Ben Folds. People will at least resonate with that, and that might get us to the next round. And then I did the other one, and there were people that didn't get it and were like, "What is she saying?" You always get weirdos that are just like can't comprehend that something can just be pretty for what it is, or just
Yeah.
exist for what it is. You don't have to know everything. But ooh, I didn't know that, Red. I did not know that. I'll have to look that up too. I know it's so interesting. All these like cool covers that people have put out over time, and it's just the more you know. That's so cool. Um, but anyway, so yeah, we ended up. I'm pretty sure we took second. We didn't win, but it was either second or third, but I'm pretty sure we took second. And it used to be on my resume. I could look this up, but it was one of those things. You're young, you're like, this is cool, I guess.
No,
This makes
I
me well rounded.
when you're that age and you're just getting started, it's so tough to
Yeah.
find things to put on there because you can say, okay, well, I sat in this chair for that piece of paper and I sat in that chair for this piece of paper and I don't know what else I've done. How do I demonstrate to you that I have value?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, and that's totally what it was for a while. But yeah, so that was super fun. Again, kind of gave me a little bit more grounds to stand on, and it was like, wow, okay, like we were well received, and of course it wasn't a solo effort, but like still, like we all had to hold our own weight because you're really only as good as your worst performer, as with any
That
group,
is, yeah, 100% true.
So yeah, so it's pretty cool. um Senior year comes around, and I'm planning that next winter to do the international dinner again. And that year we had a lot more Japanese exchange students who I ended up pretty much befriending all of. They were just kind of in mutual friend groups anyway, and so and they were just the sweetest. They were great. They were friends with each other too. Like they didn't, like
Nice.
I mean, and not everybody who's going to come over from the same country is going to just be friends,
Right,
but
right.
they got along with everybody. They were great. um and so I'm pretty sure that they had some kind of act or informational bit or something that they did get up on stage to do. But then I was like, well, I'm thinking of like doing this enka song. And enka, ENKA, is just a style of Japanese ballad, and it's a very traditional old style, ballad song, and it has a certain form and rhythm and stuff. But um once again, yours truly, Angela Akishi did a cover of this very old Enka song, and she kind of gave it new life. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And this kind of fits the vibe of the whole multicultural dinner. Like this would be cool. And I was like, and I had my yukata that I had bought from when I was in Japan a couple years prior. And I'm like, well, I feel like this is, I don't know, it's the multicultural dinner, but also I'm a white girl. Like, is this okay, guys? Like, do you want me to
You
represent
worry
you?
that
Like,
you're like walking that line. You're like,
yeah.
this is you. Are you
Yeah.
okay with? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, they were all like, no, please do the thing. Like, you're good. We want you to do the thing. And yes, wear the yukata. And I was like, okay, all right, as long as you
If you're
guys are
gonna
cool
twist
with
my
it.
arm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we did that. That's like on old YouTube somewhere. And yeah, I performed by myself to a backing track. That was just, it was just me and like a piano backing track that I had found. And in front of like 300 plus people. It was insane. And
Nice.
I don't think I'd ever been more nervous in my whole life up to that point. But I think, as I've always found with performing, and you learn how to be a performer when you play an instrument from a from a young age. You just carry on, you just kind of keep moving, and
Yeah.
that's what it is once you get up there and you kind of find your energy, and you sort of just get into the performance after a bit and shake off the nerves. So that was cool. And I think it was really that point, like I had done so many things that I was kind of like, all right, I didn't really have a plan. I don't have a plan, but I know that I kind of want more of this. This would be really cool. Um yeah. So cut to, let's see, I would have been like 22ish. So cut to like literally 2ish years later, and I am at a convention in the summer, and I'm all like dressed up because I've always, it's always been kind of a pastime hobby for me since I was, also in college. So I'm dressed up and as Sailor Moon, if you must know, favorite character of all time. And
Fair.
I see this guy just kind of across the way, kind of in this big atrium area of this convention space that I'm in. And he's playing guitar, he's singing to people, and you get a little closer and you're like, oh, he's doing like anime stuff. That's really cool. And I'm like, it would be so cool to know somebody else who likes this kind of music. I don't know anybody else, but I would love to collaborate with somebody. That was my goal. That was just network and collaborate. So I walk over there and I pose like I'm in the crowd and not going to do anything crazy. And I'm just like, he gets done with this thing, people start walking away, and I'm just like, "Hey, you sound great, and I really like what you're doing, and I also love kind of anime, but mostly video game music, and like I know that you don't know that I could sing, but I can sing you something if you'd like to hear. I would love to collaborate with you. You're great." And he was like, "Yeah, okay." He entertained it, and so I sang like "Let It Go" because it was really popular that year, and it was enough. And yeah, that person was none other than Kid Yuki, and we formed a friendship online because he had lived in a whole other state that was not in the Midwest at the time. And yeah, we formed a friendship mostly online after that point because he was really just in town for that one convention and like the weekend and flew back. But we kept in touch. We did our first collaboration, which was um, it was the one of the Bastion songs, "Setting Sail, Coming Home," which is kind of a really cool collaborative piece between the female and male vocals that eventually kind of bridge in the middle. It was also kind of in part, we did Build That Wall, which was mostly just me, and then it merges into that like collaborative thing. So
I dig.
that was
I
the
dig.
first like collab I had ever done, and I look like I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm look not happy because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was so nervous to film it and just had the lyrics up the whole time. I learned from that point that was not the way to film a video, and I never did it like that, or at least quite like that again. But yeah, within, I think it was within about, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 months after just initially meeting him. It was that winter after I had met him. He kind of reached out and was like, "Yeah, so I'm kind of like forming a band. I sort of have a slot for said musical group, band, whatever, for a show at X convention in the
Oh
summer,
man.
and I kind of need singers, and all of my people are in the Midwest because that's where he's from, and was like okay being back there for whatever certain stuff and whatever practices he could make. Used to live like many states down south at that time, but yeah, basically asked me to be part of the group, and I was in my mid 20s and I dove in headfirst and was like, yes, when do we start practicing? Let's go. And some of the people that were in this group, I had kind of met at a winter convention too, like maybe a month prior to that, because he had come back into the area for said winter convention, and then brought some of those friends. And so I had actually already sung with them and played with them in the halls a little bit and got my feet wet. And it was like, yeah, this is cool. This is fun. And we did a little panel, like, anime song request panel, kind of like what I do with karaoke.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And so that was kind of the beginning of the whole like request a song thing, because I've done, oh my gosh, so many of those panels with him. And now it has, bridged many gaps into, all right, now, Jackson and I also have played so many, requests for, people with these Coliseum events that I've done more recently. And that's always been a lot of fun. So, and then, yeah, and then streaming. So basically, yeah, I joined my band. Band was the thing for many years. Unfortunately, COVID was just an
Yeah.
unfortunate event for a lot of people and in a lot of different ways. Clearly, like socially as well. And we played a couple of shows after things were a little bit less crazy in like 2022.
Stabler, at least. Yeah.
It was more stable, yeah, for sure, and things were kind of getting back to normal-ish, and then, yeah, and then, we just really went on indefinite hiatus for a few reasons, but nothing, like, earth-shattering, nothing bad. Maybe one day we'll come back together, who knows, but everybody's still friends, but, we just unfortunately, we don't see each other as often. Hi, Marty, how are you?
Arno.
Nice to see you. Love Marno. I hope you're well. But yeah, so that was kind of the end of an era though in 2022. Um I remember in that same kind of time period, I had already been friends with Jackson just online and actually friends with Jay just online.
Yeah.
And I remember bringing this up to actually, I'm pretty sure both of you at different points. And Jackson said, well, you know what? Let me see if I can, like, we have the power to recommend people for their talents or just, hey, friend recommendation for Zeldathon because it used to work a little differently. And that year they had just missed he had missed the cutoff to actually be able to properly recommend me in, and some protocol had changed, whatever. And I said, hey, that's really really nice of you to think of me and put my name in the hat, because he obviously knew I could sing and perform and had seen me on streams and had seen recordings of our live performances and stuff, so it was not like unfounded. But yeah, no, so nothing came of it for that year, but it was good because it gave me a chance to reflect on what I wanted to do for literally a year. And I really had to kind of think, like, do I want to learn guitar finally? And I kind of tried, but I need more time and consistency and I don't have it yet. So I have a guitar, but one day we're going to come back to that. And then it was kind of the thought of, like, do I join a local group? And but how serious is that going to get? How many times will they perform? Because being in an anime and video game rock cover band is incredibly niche. And even though sure we played a lot of little acoustic request shows and panels and things, um we did not have crazy rock shows every weekend or every
Right.
month
Right.
even. We had a few shows a year, and that was great. That was super manageable for what I do for a living, because yeah, things get pretty crazy. So it was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know that I care to make music without people that I care about. That was kind of the conclusion I came to. So, and I've never really been somebody either to be like, hey everybody, look at me, it's me, like, hi, like, I don't self promote, and I put all my eggs into the basket of my band, which I absolutely was aware of. But then I did not have I didn't really have anything for me at the end of the day, so it was just really deciding, like, how do I want to carry on. um and really the easiest solution, and the one I felt the most comfortable at least breaking out into, was streaming. And also it somewhat was what I have known for years, just co-streaming with Kid Yuki.
Yeah.
We used to cross stream on like YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, back in, I think our first streams, they were very inconsistent, were back in like 2016 or something, and we had total crap tier quality and everything. We had like one room mic for everybody to just scream into and play an instrument into.
It, it,
And it was just what
that's
it
a whole
was. Yeah.
experience there, though, doing something like that. When you
Mhm.
just get everyone
Yeah.
together in one place and then just point your nose at this box.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And then, as time went on, and I think, Kid Yuki decided, "Oh, hey, I actually like doing this." He definitely invested a lot more time into streaming for himself, and then I would just kind of guest when I could in the summer times. And yeah, we haven't done any co-streams in a minute, but I usually will see him at conventions, and I saw him at Magfest, and we like jammed for 2 hours in a hallway somewhere at Magfest
One of these
without,
days, man.
like, yeah, just without blinking pretty much, and just had the best time doing that. So I'm sure that we'll do something again together, or some of our group will do something again together at some point. Everybody in that group is still a fabulous musician and is a lot of fun to be around. But yeah, in the meantime, cut to 2023 and cut to the spring, and gosh darn it, Jackson, without telling me, was like, hey, well, what's your email? And we were working on a collab, so I was like, oh, it's probably for that. So I gave him a couple of my emails, and lo and behold, I get an invite an hour later to Zeldathon. And that's kind of, and with or without Zeldathon, I had already decided I'm going to stream for me. This
Yeah.
is a really cool other opportunity. Who knows where it will lead? I don't even know if it's for me, but I want to try it out because it just sounds awesome. And hey, at least I know two people going, basically Jay and Jackson, and that was it. Nobody knew who the hell I was. I did not know who the hell anybody else was. I'm sure I've seen, I've watched little bits and pieces of Zeldathon and mostly like Jam Train stuff in previous years, but not quite enough to like super lock in on any one person's name. That's just kind of like, hey, cool, this is on, hey, I'll donate once in a while, or hey, it's
Yeah.
on in the background, this is fun. But yeah, so yeah, doing music for that has been a blast. Getting to know really the whole team has been so much fun. And it's just like, man, I miss my Zeldathon buddies. Man, I'm not on Mars today. Like, that sucks. People are so far away. I miss all my buds. So there's been that. But yeah.
Throne Controllers Coliseum is coming up, and MC
Yeah,
was
yeah.
posting like setup videos from the same hotel that Saturn is, and I'm looking at that carpet in the ballroom, and I'm like, I want to be there again. I miss that. I can't wait
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
next one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am very much the same way. Um, but yeah, that led to Kaizo Coliseum for me, and then Speedrun Coliseum, and I hope to be back to at least one of those, hopefully both, sometime this year, whenever they decide to run those. So,
I wouldn't doubt it.
but yeah,
They love you. They love you to
I
bits, and
mean,
I understand why very well.
I look, I just show up and I make sure that I am, responsible and doing my job, and I have a good time. So as long as people are also having a good time, and we're raising awareness and money for a good cause as well as entertaining people, then great. So but yeah, no, they're so fun. And equally too, like all the people behind those events are just such good souls and super super down to earth. So people I never thought I would get a chance to meet.
Right, the first time you run
So
into someone
it's
that, like,
crazy.
in your mind is an internet celebrity, and the
Yeah,
first time
pretty
you see
much,
him and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" And you just hyperventilate a
Yeah,
little
you try
bit.
not to be that. Yeah. I very much try not to do that to anybody, and I think for the most part, maybe I weirded somebody out along the lines, because 'cause you're like, "Hey, I know you, but I don't know you. Oh god, I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm Amaya. How yes, tell me your
There's
name
no
because we're
bigger
introducing."
compliment than that. That was your meeting Jiggy story, if I'm not mistaken, because you'd been hanging around in his chat and you'd seen him at other events, and
No. No, no, no. You wanna hear my Jiggy story? Because it's funny as
yes,
hell.
yes.
Alright. No, I did not know Jiggy from anything. I didn't know him at all. The only reason I knew who he was at all was because Jay, at the end of one of my first, like, month's worth of streams, was like, "Hey, you should raid Jiggy because he's a Zeldathon guy." And I remember you had brought him up, like,
Yeah.
just in passing about something before that point. So I did recognize the name from literally you bringing him up, but I really had no idea um the ham that this man is. And he's incredible, but like I had no idea the force of nature that he is, or what he was about or anything. And I don't know how, because clearly he's involved in so much of that. But anyway, yeah, so I was like, okay, sick, let's rate this guy. I don't know, sure, Jay's recommending him, must be cool. So we rate him, and he does, he has like 5 million camera angles, so he does the big zoom can in his like cam, and butchers my name, by the way. Goes, hi, welcome. Welcome to this stream, Amiya. How are you? Oh, you're gonna be at Zeldathon, right? And I was very like, I did not know how to process that. I was kind of like, all right, this guy is either kind of off the rails a little bit, he's a little unhinged, or maybe this is just his bit. I will try to reserve judgment until later. So I did not know. And I stuck around for like 10 minutes of that raid, and then I was like, I gotta go to bed. Um um but yeah, I would pop in and out here and there to just be like, well, what's this guy doing?
Yeah.
And I'd stick around for like 10 minutes. And sometimes he would have like a jiggy hot take, but again, I did not know him. And I was just like, wow, this guy has a lot of hot takes. This guy is spicy. Like, what is his problem? Water break, hold on.
No worries. He's got a few. He's
No, 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 and there's no problem with that. It was such funny timing when you don't know a person and you're just
yeah.
kind of like, "Well, what else does this guy do?" And then you're just, like, popping in at the most inopportune moments, like, kind of getting a first impression, but also knowing that that's not necessarily reality. Like, so you're like, "Okay, alright, whatever, we'll meet him later. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's chill." And so, yeah, yeah, he pronounces Befu's name, the Befu. He always says, "Hi, Befu," which is just so, like, endearing to me, I love it. But anyway, so cut to me getting at the place for Zeldathon, and I meet Jay for the first time, like, in person, give him the biggest hug. We walk up to the room, I throw my crap in there, and we come down, and the welcome meeting basically has started, and we've missed, like, 5 minutes, but it's cool. And so we kind of plant ourselves somewhere in the back of just everybody kind of hovering, and we're all listening to MC, and I'm, like, even just trying to spot out Jackson, and I did, but I didn't wanna be weird and wave in the middle of this informational meeting and cause, like, a
Yeah.
spectacle. So, like, I'll find him later, it's cool. And then from a distance, from, like, across the room a little bit, I see who I believe to be is Jiggy, and he is looking straight at me, and I didn't realize that he was apparently looking at me for a lot longer than I had known, and there's a reason for that, I'll get to it, but, so anyway, in my head, I'm like, "Oh, that's the guy I rated." So I immediately am like, "Oh, hi." And then he waves back, but then he looks right back at MC, and I was like, "Oh god, no. I'm so weird. This dude doesn't even know me." And I waved like, "What the hell was I thinking?" I mean, it's fine. He waved back. Everybody's chill here. I mean, it's just a big weird event where sometimes you just don't know everybody. It's probably fine. And later, whatever, we get on talking, and, like, I think the rest is history. We're pretty decent friendos now, and just have enough in common and enough lining up in our personalities that just makes for a great time. But then later, at the end of the event, we both, like, go home, and I had to, like, tell him the story of, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It was so weird." Like, now it's funny because we've gotten to know each other, but I was a weirdo, like, waving to you thinking like, "Oh, yeah, you'd recognize me," but no. And he's like, "No, actually, that's not, I mean, like, sure, but here was my perspective." He was like, "Yeah, I was looking around because, like, people kept telling me, like, Clinkett and other people kept telling him, like, 'Oh, Jackson, brought in this super talented, crazy singer girl, and nobody knows what she looks like, but she's gonna be here, and you'll wanna meet her, and blah, blah, blah.'" And I didn't know anybody was saying anything about me, I'm just, like, showing up. And so apparently during the meeting, he was scoping out the room to see faces, and we're all masked, by the way. So that's the other
yeah.
element here. We're totally all masked. It is so much harder to tell, like, who you even know and don't know. Yeah, exactly. And so, uh, yeah, so he was just scoping out the room to be like, "Huh, I think that might be it." And so he's, like, staring at me trying to figure out if I am maybe somebody he wouldn't know, maybe the new girl. And then and I didn't know. I didn't know he was, like, staring in my general direction. So he was like, "Oh my god, I'm being a creep." She, like, waved at me. I definitely was looking too long, kind of thing. And so then whatever. So that was his perspective, and mine was just like, "Oh god, I'm so weird." Like, wave to this guy who wouldn't know me, but how nice of him to wave back, and, so very funny. But
It
yeah,
is so
that's the story.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I remember that meeting too. Oh, that was a blast.
Well, when we finally did chat, he told me he was, like, 53, and I was like, "Oh my god, you look so great." But again, we're all under masks, so I'm just naive a little bit. So I'm like, "Wow." And he's just, you could tell him, like, he's, like, smiling under the mask, and I'm like, "Wait a second. This is the biggest lie of the century. What the shit? I don't even know you.
You
What are you
can't
talking
be.
about?"
That is not possible. No way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that was a funny first interaction. And yes, it turns out, he does have some hot takes, but he's a good egg, a
He
good
is.
bean.
He's good people. He's good people.
Mhm.
I am convinced he is multiple people. I do very strongly believe that, but he is good people.
Oh.
Just several of them kind of mashed together in one body.
Mhm. I mean, I suppose
You can't
you
have
could.
that much energy as one person. It just doesn't happen. I don't care how ADHD you
Ooh.
are. He
He
never
stole
stops moving. He never
he
stops
stole,
moving.
other people's souls from doing too many fusion dances.
Yeah, that has to be it.
Something along those lines.
100% has to be it right there.
Um, that's funny.
I get that reference.
For once.
Hey, it's
For
okay.
once.
I'm like, yeah, I like anime and all that, but I've always been a little bit more on the gaming side myself, so it's all
Yeah.
good.
It's there's
Yeah,
not like a hard split there, but you can definitely tell which side people lean toward a little bit.
I think so. Yeah, nothing wrong with either, but you know, a
There's
little
a
bit of column
lot
A, column B.
in your karaoke song list that you have for your streams. There's a lot of video game music. Um,
Yeah, there is.
and I know you've talked a bit about how like Final Fantasy was kind of foundational to that. Um, what are some of the things that have stood out to you recently? What are some of your favorite newer game soundtrack? Like what's your vibe in that right now?
Yeah.
What are you getting into?
Um, I mean, yeah, I've always been a Final Fantasy person, and for those curious about the song list, there you go. Um, I really like so I didn't play near Automata, but Vontography did, and I watched him back in 20 I think 17 whenever that game came out, play some of it, and it is super good. The music is stellar. There were so many like very atmospheric tracks too that are just so like they're such vibes, and I
I
like that.
saw
I love
Fuzzy
the
like
ballads.
jumping and laughing there, and I have to
I know,
interject.
I was like, I'm not really sure what that's about, but yeah,
The
please.
song
So
I
okay,
sent you the other day. I'll well
Yeah.
here you can explain. I'll let you, Fuzzy, because I sent her the link.
I was playing Final Fantasy 14
Mhm.
MMO week resets on Tuesday, so I try to just do it's kind of a dead period right now in between expansions, so I like do all my stuff on one day and then I don't touch it for 6 days. But I was
Yeah.
doing my raids, and one of the raid sets from the 2 expansions ago, the big 24-person thing was near themed. It was a whole crossover thing.
Oh, cool.
And the music in it is weird and trippy and does not fit because it's like straight out of the other soundtrack, and it's very atmospheric and not like, hype, pump battle music.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like casual, melodies and soft singing, and you're fighting this giant robot evil red lady, and you're just like, this doesn't go together. And Jay had tuned in because it was fairly late, and it was none of it makes sense. It just it's near none of it makes sense, right? Especially
Yeah.
in a fantasy setting. But for whatever reason, I did random random dungeon thing, and I got the exact same one. So we were watching it all over again, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, this was that song. What is it?" And I told him like, "He's like, what is the song I want? I'm gonna go send it to Amaya for her to add to her list to see if she can do it." And that's why you're like, "I played here." I'm like, "Oh, that explains why."
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
near game in Final Fantasy. That's the one I sent you. So it just kind of lines up perfectly that that's something you're into right now anyway. That's a big relief to
Yeah,
me,
no, that's really
honestly.
cool. I mean, I've never played it for myself. I've just like I said, I've watched enough of it be played, and I've always liked that soundtrack a lot. So I have been thinking about adding some of that music in. Um I mean, yeah, all the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stuff, they come out with some really bonkers, like random pop tunes that are just sort of
Yeah.
shoehorned into these NPC characters that are just like, hey, I'm a pop star on a stage and I'm singing like 5 songs. Here's a concert if you just want to stand here in the game for 20 minutes. It's just like, what? They throw so much
Yeah.
music at that game and I love it. But no, please, I think Fuzzy wanted to say something, I think.
No, that I was gonna say Square has some very extremely talented music people, like at their core of their business, that like um they do all the music for all of the games, and like games sometimes don't get made until that person has time to make the music for it before they'll even start the rest of the game, because they're like, we don't want to make this and not have that guy's
Yeah,
music for
Hmm.
like
it. And it's
ex
like,
composers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I know certainly it has not fallen all to Uematsu since like 2000, Even at that, I don't think he composed all of 10. Um which is fine. I mean, the man composed how many amazing pieces already as it was.
it,
But
Right.
yeah, there's
all
definitely
of them.
some. Yeah, but they definitely
Yeah.
have some other like big talents on
But if he didn't do it himself, he's definitely got, even the stuff that he didn't do, he's got his fingers like all over anything they do.
Yeah, yeah, it's so well, it's so interesting. I mean, he just does have like a very good ear for talent, and it goes beyond just composition, I think. It applies to vocals too. I'm going to say it one more time. Guess who he scouted out for Final Fantasy 12? Whoa, you guessed it, Angela
Angela
Aki. And
Aki.
that was basically the birth of like her Japanese singing career taking off, cuz she had a long time ago, a little like in the early 2000s sometime, and I don't even know why I know this, but I went down the rabbit hole when I was younger, and I found there's this English album that she released here, and it was just a little indie thing, because she did partially grow up in the States and is fluent in both languages and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but she just didn't take off here, and then she was recognized by him, and he was like, and I can't remember what it was that really caught his eye or ear. She had already been doing some stuff in Japan at that time for him to have noticed her. It wasn't like random, but she was just kind of the voice that I suppose he was looking for this ballad, and went, yes, I need you. And that's basically like why I saw her for the first time and even knew who she was, because they brought her with as like a guest star to the first Final Fantasy Distant Worlds premiere, like world premiere concert in
Yeah.
Chicago that I went to with my mom at like 16 or 17 or however old I was. Yeah, amazing. I still have the playbook for it back there. And so cool. And I was just so obsessed. I was just like, who is this woman? I love her. I must have more. And
Yeah.
that's when I discovered, like, on iTunes there was a very limited selection of what you could find and buy, but she had her cover of Eyes on Me that she performed live, and I was like, yes, more of this. And but also, the Kiss Me Goodbye songs in both languages. And eventually, a couple years down the line, I was able to find a lot more of her discography, and just it went from there. But
When
anyway,
the internet
skip
figured
forward.
out it's not separated by country anymore.
Yeah, yeah, like, come on, guys, come on. But skip forward to like today, like within the last year, and again, Uematsu brought on this time an American vocalist who had been just a ghost singer for this track in The Greatest Showman. I can't remember which one, but her name is Lauren Allred, and she sings Aerith's song, No Promises to Keep, in Seven Rebirth. And it was just him and his staff going, we love her. And I think it was just the Greatest Showman track that they stumbled into and were like, oh, that's her vocals, that's not the actress. Yes, this is the voice we want. And so that's basically the story. If you go and you look at any interview, and they brought her in, and she was like, yeah, I've always kind of low-key been a gamer, and this is really cool. you know? So it's just, yeah, it's very interesting. You just, you never know what could happen, and I think that's what kind of keeps their music interesting too in some of the games. But
It does.
yeah.
It does. And the way they switch things around. Angela Key has such a distinctive voice. It's not
Oh yeah.
super reedy. She's got a real richness to it, and I love the
Yeah.
flavor that gives the music that she does.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, she just put out her album that she basically has been in the States. I don't know if she still lives over here. I think maybe she's back in Japan now. Pretty sure she is, but she came here to New York to study to be a writer and composer for musicals, and she did that for like the last decade, and now she just released a new album last month, and it's like her recordings and versions of all of the songs from her upcoming musical that'll launch next spring in Japan. So very cool. Yeah, go look it
Very
up on
intriguing. Yeah,
Spotify.
I'll
It's very
definitely have
fun.
to check it out.
But
Sweet.
yeah, other than like Final Fantasy, I've always loved JRPG music. I think it's so much fun. But actually more recently, I was last weekend. It just kind of like, this always comes into my like car playlist rotation every so often because I just know all the songs. But a little anime called Carolyn Tuesday, which aired on Netflix in 2019 for the first half, and then I think 2020 in the second. And it was directed by the same director as Cowboy Bebop, but it never really took off the way that I think they intended for it to take off. And part of that was it's such a musical based anime, and they did such a good job with the music production. I mean, it is it's really a shame. It's a crime to me that like it didn't go anywhere because we'll never see anything on that level again. At
Yeah.
least not anytime soon because you listen to these tracks and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is just Oops All Bangers the anime." And you have every genre pretty much represented in this show. I mean, heck, Thundercat is in one of the episodes. Like he is
My
just one of his
man.
songs, you know? Like I mean, it's crazy. But no, there are two really great albums. It's kind of a two-parter, one for like the first half of the season, one for the second. There's only a couple songs that are omitted because I think they might be like Thundercat, had his own original track in there, so I don't think that made it.
Yeah.
And I think there might be just a couple other little songs like that too. But really good songs. Actually, funny enough, most of them in English, and they really did handpick a bunch, like just such a variety of vocalists, and actually a lot of them, I believe, American, Canadian, whatever, native English speakers to sing on. Not everybody was, but yeah, to sing on those tracks, and it's they're all very good, and I love them, and I want to do more with those on my stream because they're a lot of fun and they bring me joy. So yeah, and it was fun getting to show one of my friends who had never heard any of it before, never seen it, the whole thing, and she was just like, "Oh my god, these are actually so good! Like this is so sad it never went anywhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, COVID kind of killed a lot of things." I mean, because they were gonna do like a bunch of live performances that year, and it just all didn't
Everything just
happen.
it
Yeah,
evaporated.
nothing
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, yeah. So
Man,
yeah,
that's wild though. That's wild.
yeah. Carolyn Tuesday. If anybody out there wants to check it out,
I
I'm
think I'm
sure
gonna
it's
have to
still
go
on
back and
Netflix.
check that out for myself now. Like
It's got a great story too. I really like the characters, the story, the music. It's
I
really
remember
good.
hearing about it, but I never actually went and watched it. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because I don't watch anything ever. I watch the same
I don't
six
either
math
really.
videos on YouTube over and over. That's it. That's all I do.
Jay lives in the math verse.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Oh, that's funny.
Sweet. Um, so now that you're involved with Zeldathon, we have an event coming up sooner or later this summer, hopefully. No, no, nothing's been super officially announced aside from the name. Uh,
Right.
what else you got going on this year? You got any other appearances that you've heard about yet? Any rumblings? Anything you want to
Um,
tease?
I don't think that I can, unfortunately. I don't have anything official for you, and I don't really have any dates. I just have like a rough timeline, and I will say, I think the most I can really say is cross your fingers for like beginning half of September sometime.
I
Okay, and
love
then
it.
after that, I'm not really sure. But oh, you know what? I'll just throw this out there because I don't think that he would mind either way, and it's not like, I mean, who knows what'll happen here, but what? Oh, okay. Uh, but a little while ago, Jackson Parodi and I, we threw our names into the hat for some Magfest performances, and we'll just see if anything comes of that. So
Oh
yeah,
man. Oh man.
um, cross your fingers because we would
See,
love to
now I
play
have to go
whatever.
to MagFest just in case that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time. I love Magfest. It's so worth it every time to fly out to the East Coast for it. It's a little, it can get tricky with where I'm at with work every year,
Yeah.
just the specific
Yeah.
time of year that is, but I always make it worth it, and it's always more than worth it to do it because it is just one concert after another, just going from like a spectacle standpoint, like just going from just like being part of the crowd is just so much fun to me. And I like it. It's, yeah, it's a ton of fun, and we have a lot of local friends that go, like local friends that don't necessarily go to other conventions, they'll go to that. And we had more of those kind of friends than ever this past Magfest, and it was really fun to have them along. So
I,
yeah,
I,
it's a
I
vibe.
can't wait to check it out. And you know what? You know what? Even if you couldn't tell us anything, the fact that you told us you couldn't tell us anything is the best news I've heard in quite a while.
Well, yeah, I guess I haven't been given a no. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, hey, I'll take it. I will take it. Like I love watching you be involved with all these other events too, and trying to ride your coattails into glory and drag Fuzzy along kicking and screaming with me too.
Oh goodness.
I,
Oh,
I'm
thank you,
going.
Jay.
I'm going to just kidnap him and hijack him and steal him away to Zeldathon and introduce him to all of our
All
friendos
right.
there. I think they're gonna love him. A
I,
fair
I
amount
told
of
you
them have
yes.
met him in passing on the internet anyway, so that's it's something. It counts.
Yeah.
Gannon was in my stream earlier,
That's true. That's true.
messing with the TTS.
Yeah, Fuzzy, I don't really have any doubt that if you wanted in, I'm sure if Jay so much has put in a good word for you,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of talent on the tech team, and
And there we go. There's our
you'd be
Oracle
awesome.
problem solved.
Yeah.
He can run the Oracle games because I watched him play them voluntarily of his own
There you
volition.
go.
No complaints at all. We're set.
I
It's
like
perfect.
them.
They're good games. They're good
Hey, somebody's
games.
got to like them. I
Well,
haven't played them since I was a kid, to be honest,
yeah,
but
I
mm,
watching Jiggy attempt to play them and yell and scream, and I wonder how much of it is Jiggy's got streamer brain and ADHD brain and just can't pay attention from one scene change to the other to remember anything, or are these games legitimately that bad? So we rewired up my Switch, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and actually start playing these and see how bad they are. They are, both things are true. He's got
yeah,
he's got goldfish brain because he's streaming, and also the games are bad.
that's fair. Yeah,
They have their
that's
issues.
valid. I
Yeah.
I remember having seasons. My sister had oracles. That was always it was always that way in the
Yeah.
Game Boy Color day. We would always have like the opposite carts. So like Pokemon, I had red, she had blue. Eventually, I had yellow, and eventually, she just gave me her blue cartridge because she was like, "Here you go." And then I had silver, she had gold. And then she gave me her gold because she was like, "Here you go." Because I'm the older one by 2 years, so it was always this relationship of, "Hey, this is really hard. Can you beat this level?" And I feel like, "Okay." But, eventually she found games that she liked and thrived in a little bit better, and it turns out it was not necessarily the JRPGs, and that's okay. But she enjoyed Pokemon too, you know? Just
I
like
see.
platformers were not necessarily, what she was, like, the best at as a kid.
My sister and I
So
have a running joke that both of us are only children, and um, she's the one that got way into the JRPGs, and I can't tell you how long I spent watching her play uh, the one with the name that I can't remember, Kingdom Hearts, the
Oh,
big one
okay,
that
okay.
everyone knows.
True,
Like
But
true.
then she
one
got
like one and two. Like it was a million years ago, but she I don't even think two may have been out. Like it was just like all the just her back and forth in that gummy ship. I've never played the games, and I can still identify that gummy ship, loading screen back at the warp tunnel music that it played. Oh my god.
I love that.
But now she's got a kid of her own, and my nephew, he is into Metroid, and I'm like, all right, I can get on board with this. I'm trying to get him into Zelda, but he's one of those Sonic the Hedgehog kids, and I just don't want to let him get too
I
far into it
Yep.
because it could be dangerous. But he's
I
been
love that.
collecting
I
the
love that.
plushies too, so I got to keep
Oh,
an eye
you know
on
what? That's
him.
right. Because your little guy, he is, I think, around the same age as my little nephew, who's
Yeah,
also a big Sonic fan and also loves the plushies. Oh my gosh, melts my heart. Little man after my own heart.
it's
And
okay.
I
I
do. I remember
kind of
us
want to
talking about them
discourage
last summer.
him. I kind of want to
Yeah,
discourage him, but at the same time, I just want to buy all of them and pile them in front of him to see his whole
yeah,
face light
yeah.
up.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of plushies and game characters and choices that, my nephew made. It's so cute. We took him to round 1, which if you guys have never been to a round 1, it's just it's a chain. Yeah, it's just a big video game, like kind of old school arcade mixed with it's really it's a Japanese chain. So you have a lot of the beat
Yeah.
rhythm games and stuff. But then you still have like the traditional like kind of Americanized system of like tickets. But now all the tickets, they just get loaded onto your game card, and you kind of have to sit there. Like I have trust issues, so like I just sit there and make sure it count, like, because you have to wait for it to count up
Hmm.
to the number that you've won, and it can take a few minutes if you actually hit like a jackpot in something, because it goes like, I don't know why it's not fast, but it's not. It just like has to count all
For
the way
that
up.
reason, to
And
make you wait just in case.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe consider playing again. Like maybe that's
Yep.
the strat, right?
Yep.
So anyway, so we win all these tickets. My sister, oh my gosh, my sister and I were so stupid. We were playing you can play collaboratively in Bust a Move, aka Bubble Bobble, which is the marble game, and you just shoot the marbles. It's like a Connect 4 game. and you're just trying to clear them. And this was because it was like an arcade mode, it was like an endless version of it, so
Yeah.
we were just, and we were tag teaming, so our marbles could get in each other's way. And thankfully, because the screens were the one screen you're playing on is so huge, you were given the guide, like the little dashed lines to actually like hit anything, so it was a little bit easier, but also super hard because the screen is huge and you could accidentally screw each other up. Well, we worked super well together, and we played like 10 rounds of this game. We were doing really great. We were like, yeah, we crushed the high score. What? Why didn't we get as many tickets? Like the tickets didn't always co-align with our scores, and we were just so confused about that.
Yeah.
It must have been like either random, just total RNG for the tickets for things that we were hitting that gave more to us or something. I don't know. But anyway, the last round we played, I don't know what she did. I think it was RNG. It was like a marble that came up into her lane, and she fired it off, and it was like, yo, bonus marble, whoa, tickets, you got the tickets, whoa. And we were like, what the heck? Okay, let's just keep going until we die. And then we died, and we won like almost 1,000 tickets from that one game. We were like, oh my gosh, let's go.
Man,
So
that's
anyway,
almost enough to get a finger trap for each of you.
right, I know. So and I mean this store, like, that the little storefront they have for all the tickets, it's pretty cool these days. Like, you can get a little Minecraft light, you can get your plushies, you can get, I mean, you could, we were joking because we're like, "Oh my god, there's a straight up saxophone for like 100,000 tickets." Could you imagine if you were the child that went every day and you lived at the arcade and you were like, "Oh my god, I wanted that. I'm at 90K. Oh, somebody else bought it. Well, I guess I'm just a gamer now. I guess I won't get that saxophone." You know,
Yep.
that was like our joke.
There's there's a couple that I follow on TikTok. They go to arcades and stuff,
Sure.
and there's a chain that's around here. I don't know if it's around anywhere called Scene 76.
Mhm.
It's like a Dave and Buster's,
Okay.
but with
Never seen
it's
one,
same
but
thing. Lots of
yeah.
games, swipe the card, play thing, and they go in and they win all the tickets and stuff, and they realize dollar per dollar, if you're good at the games, it's the cheapest way to get some of the big Lego sets, like the big two three hundred
Oh,
dollar big Lego set, like
that's a good deal.
because like if you're good at the right games and can rack the right things up,
Yeah.
it's like a far percent, like you're still gonna dump $150 in it, but you could get a $300 big aircraft
Yeah.
carrier Lego set thing, and they're like, you know and
You
so
just
that's what
got,
they do. They
yeah.
go, they go and they do that.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's like, "Hey, you just won 50% off and you had fun doing it."
We
Nice.
took
Sick.
my we took my niece there last year for her birthday in September, and they took their all the kids were playing and stuff, and like it was her birthday, and so everybody's like, yeah, here, have my tickets, whatever. And we were doing the thing where you can transfer your tickets off your card to somebody else's to kind of pool them together.
Mhm.
And there was something she wanted. It was like 5,000 or something, and they only had like 2 or 3,000 total between like all the kids. They're like, oh, like, you can't get it, you don't have enough. And I'm like, how many is it? Like, okay, you're short like 2,500. So I'm like, hold on. And I go and throw $50 in the
Hold the
machine and
phone.
put it on my card. And I go over to, there's a crane game that's got a roll of tickets, but it's got like a NFC chip in it that they just tap it and put it back in the machine when they're done. And I go
Mhm.
over there, I go boop, 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 boop. And I clear out all the 1,000 and the 500s. I just like, I just walk up to the guy with a just bushel of the thing. I'm like, that should be enough. And he's like, okay, you just handed me 4,000, so you have extra. What else do you want? They're like, how did you do that? Like, why did you like? I wasn't playing. I was playing for fun. I wasn't here for tickets. I'm an adult with adult money. I could just buy these things on Amazon. I don't need
Yeah.
to win the tickets. I can skip the middleman. But the
Yeah,
kid
yeah.
wanted to. They wanted to.
Oh,
She wanted to win
totally.
it. She
Yeah,
wanted to
you do
win it
it,
with her tickets,
it's the
and they're just like,
experience.
how'd you like? I worked in an arcade for 3
Yeah.
years. I know how these machines work.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That
The
insider
guy gave me
knowledge
But
there, yeah.
the guy gave me the dirtiest look when I said that.
yeah, yeah,
And
it's
he's
like
like, "Oh, yeah, insider knowledge. Get out of here, you."
you got home field advantage. Yeah, go home. But yeah, to just to wrap up, and no worries at all. I loved that story, so thank you. But yeah, just to kind of wrap mine up, he ended up with enough tickets for like a plushie basically. And he does just legitimately have like a collection of all sorts of plushies. It's not limited to Sonic or Pokemon, or it's just kind of everything. And he'll like he likes plushies for like the squish factor too. It's not always just because it's like a,
Right.
oh, this guy. He does like things because it's like, oh, look, what, yeah, in the same visit he was like, look, I have a shiny Rayquaza from the Comic-Con. And I was like, well, so it is. Didn't even know that exists. And this thing had like a little skeleton on the inside of the plushie. It was crazy. I was like, I didn't know they. Okay, all right, that exists in 2024.
That's
Good to know.
wild.
Like just the crap you can get, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now he has decisions to make, and like he's got enough for this like giant like chunky penguin that's super cute. He could have picked like whatever Pokemon he wanted. There was like a Master Ball plushie thing, kind of half pillow, half what, it was just a Pokeball really. And then there were like other little animals, and he's like picking all of them up, and he's like, he picks up the penguin, which made me really laugh. He goes, Zia, that's my name,
Yeah.
and whatever. Zia, the penguin, it's cute, but like it feels gross. It's you. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I feel it. I'm like, oh, yeah. No, it felt like a fair prize. If you've ever felt like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, where they have, it didn't have styrofoam in it, but it was very like, it was solid.
It's
That thing
almost
was
like that
just,
sawdust feeling to the stuffing.
yeah. Yeah. I
Just
was like, ooh,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you want that one. And he puts it back like immediately. And so I figured though the Pokemon didn't feel that bad. So I was like, well, we'll see what he goes with. And he's hemming and hawing. We just let him take his time, whatever. And finally, he picks up the cutest freaking little red panda plushie, and he goes, I want this one. And it's very squishy. It's like a squishmallow, but it wasn't a squishmallow. It was so cute. And I was just like, oh my god. Like really? You could have had the, whatever else was there, the Charmander, you could have had the Squirtle, whatever, nope, you want this red panda. All right.
Sometimes
Well,
that's
my
just
turn to job.
what you need though, man. I absolutely get it.
Yeah. 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 And apparently my sister said, oh yeah, he brought it around with him like the other day. I'm like, oh, so cute. Yeah. So yeah, it's so fun. Like I'm a person that I've always said, like, yeah, I probably won't have kids. And that's probably still true. But man, is it fun being an aunt?
Boy, I
Man, do I
love to
wish I lived
borrow them
closer.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm always bugging Fuzzy, whichever side he's. How's my room laid out? I'm always bugging Fuzzy over here and being like, "Hey, bring Charles over. I want to see my niece Charlie."
Yeah. I love that.
Then again,
Yeah.
I'm also a giant kid, and Maya can vouch for that with the amount of stuffies that I bring to Zeldathon since we shared a hotel room. So now she knows the dirty secret of all the stuffies that I have
Oh
to be
yeah,
able to
so
sleep.
so terrible, Jay. Yeah. So wow, what a man baby. No, I like whatever.
It's true.
If you
It's true. I
if
love
you
it.
saw
I
our guest
embrace
room,
it.
yeah, no, I mean that's just it, right? Like you got to do you. And
Yeah.
I also have a big love for plushies. If you saw our one guest room, it's, yeah, I have a problem.
You are definitely not alone in that. You are definitely
Yeah,
not alone
yeah.
in that. All right, I think we're going to take a real quick 10-minute break. I'm going to run an ad. We're going to freshen our water and all of that. Maybe not 10. How about 5? How about 6.5?
Yeah.
We are going to take a 400-second break here. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. We will be right back with you in just a few. Wichita lineman is still on the line. Welcome back to the Blue House Bull Session. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope you have enjoyed your break, got up, got yourself some water or another Coke or a coffee. In my case, it's over here somewhere. I can't remember where I put it already, and I just went and got it. Switched out the tanks, exchanged one beverage for the next, you know.
There you go.
Picking back up again with the lovely and talented Amaya Sings. Thank you again for joining us today. Um,
Yeah. Thank you again. This has been a blast so far.
oh man, I love this. I love this. This is one of the two highlights of my week. I also teach a high school
Aw.
programming class, and I always remind the kids that like that's a big highlight of my week is going
Yeah.
in, working with them, seeing what they're doing. But then this, getting to hang out with like all my favorite people and talk about
Yeah.
things and grill them mercilessly with probing questions. Not that I'm hinting at anything.
No, it's all
Oh
good.
no.
No, we
You got to run
actually
your
do
show,
have some questions for you that Fuzzy might not even know about yet, because I
Okay.
neglected to put them on the agenda. But I'm going to grab my handy dandy notebook here and a pen
You and your paper. You and your
because we
physical
have some
paper.
questions for you. Now,
Okay.
in addition to moderating for your stream when I can manage to pay enough attention to enforce the rules, and enjoying your
Which
streams
you
every
do,
time they come
actually.
along.
You're so present in my stream. It's like it's awesome and I always appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
try my best to, but we were discussing recently something that you were interested in setting up that was inspired in part by Jiggy's bit with the Game Boy camera.
Oh, yeah.
And
I actually still have the clip.
now that I have my development partner here,
Oh,
we should talk about what you'd actually like if you had a system like that. Kind of describe for us what you've got envisioned and how you want it to work, and we'll take some
Okay.
notes.
Here, if you want to play this for the people, I'll put it in chat. This is
Oh,
literally the
wonderful.
note. That's the clip that you made.
Yes. Yes, it is. Let me pop up my screen share and I will play this clip for everybody.
Okay. I I would love the audio on it too cuz I kind of remember what I said, but I don't have it memorized.
Oh, we got this covered here. Let me share your
Okay.
screen and pick the right one. There we go.
Oh, cool. Yes, high tech.
And it should be showing up on the thing here presently. I think. Am I doing it right? I'm not doing it right, am I? Oop, boop,
I
boop.
see the gap, but not the thing.
Aha. Yes, there it is. There's the button.
Okay. I don't know if we could make it interactive or not, but either way, it would be fun if like every time there was like a little photo thing, like the photo booth pops up, the screen kind of like it comes out, and initially I'm like shielded behind the screen, and then as the picture is getting ready, you see the countdown and the whatever the booth screen, it like unfolds itself, the curtains draw back, and then it takes its photo. But every time it takes a photo, as it takes, it's like, hey, different little like stickers or graphics or whatever or goofy filters are just like applied at random, because usually like if you guys have never done if you've never done a photo booth in your life, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but it's just like a fancy photo booth, and it's fun because you can make all sorts of edits, and you have like a 90-second timer to make all the goofy edits or do filters or whatever, like after your photos have been taken, so you just like do it on the screen. But we could just do it like, hey, let's just put random filters on. That would actually make it really funny, I think. Now I don't know where they're going to upload to. I
All right, so
All right.
we have a rough idea what the idea is there. What do you think? Could we
Basically,
make an interactive photo booth thing?
Do you actually want the output to be like a strip of photos, like a photo booth?
it could be that. Have you ever seen like Japanese purikuda? Because that's like kind of more the concept that I'm going with. But I mean they do that too. Like they certainly print out in a strip, so it could be that. But I was kind of thinking a little bit more simple than that. Purikuda. Let's see if we can find like, okay, purikuda screen. Yes. Okay. So I don't know if this is the best example. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to copy. this little image link just so you have an idea. And I know chat gets to see it too. You guys don't have to imagine everything. Um, there you go. So it's kind of the idea. It's not so much necessarily a printout effect, but more like
Oh,
you're in the
okay.
photo booth already, right? And there's like a curtain anyway when you go in, so it would be so like cute and silly to be like, oh, it's Pootie Cuda time, and then the curtain closes on me. You can't see me, and when it opens back up, it's like all these little effects have been added to the snapshot, and it's like it's already been edited, but kind of at random because who like I don't
Yeah.
necessarily need it to be like hyper interactive. It can just be random little PNGs that are like, oh, little hearts by her head, or little filters, or oh, look, it's like
Just
it
a bunch
got
of
serious.
overlays, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, little overlay thing. And I would be happy to help make some of them, or at least send you guys graphics that I would like to have overlaid or whatever. So yeah, you could have like little bunny ears, or you could have your little hearts, or you could have little like, usually there's little silly phrases that like aren't even like, you don't even have to write them on. Sometimes it's just like hello, in all caps or something, because it's Pootie Cuda. Or sometimes it's like,
Like this
I
one
don't
that says
know.
"Welco we" at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, like that. But imagine somebody didn't write it in. It's just like already a
Yeah, just a
PNG for
little
some
stamp
reason.
of yeah.
Or it'll be like
Welco me.
Arte, or it'll be like happy birthday. It's just stupid stuff. Yeah. So
I
yeah, I mean
almost feel
they're
like the more random they get, the better. Like if
yeah.
one just at the bottom in big pink sparklies with the hearts, it just says "Sorry for your loss."
Oh no. I mean, I have a pretty dark sense of humor, so I'm not opposed, but dang. Oh gosh. Oh, Red thinks it's Welco, like welcome. Yeah, welcome.
It's "Welco
Yeah.
me." Yes.
Welcome me. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. It's just not it's like the bad graphic design posters or ads where you're like,
They started
"Oh,
way too over in the
yeah.
page, and then they just like scrunch, and then you go down the page.
Graphic design
Yeah.
is my passion.
Also,
Ah,
I just want to put it out
yeah.
there. I did not chat. I didn't know that Jay was going to go there and ask that question. I just leave 100 tabs open at all times. That's how
Yeah.
I operate.
Yeah.
so,
No, I
so
will
yeah, I
jump
just
in out of nowhere, but from working with Amaya before, I've seen that happen.
it's pretty bad.
It's how we operate. It's how we operate. Some people's brains just work that way. Mine works occasionally. That's about the best I got.
Yeah, I got to have all the tabs. You got to tab them all. Are you using the internet if you don't have 100 tabs open? That's what I'm talking about, Speepo. Also, I do it on my phone. If you use Chrome on your phone, do you want to know what happens when you hit 100?
Let me
It
guess.
Turns
Do
into
you
a
get a
smiley face.
smiley face?
Yes, it just gives
Yes.
you a little smiley and it
Guilty.
stops counting, and it calls you out.
My wife was horrible for that, and every time I'd look over and I'd see her open a new tab, and every time I see the smiley face, I would reach over and I would take her phone and I would hit close all and watch her face just melt, and I'm like,
Mine
if they
would
were
too.
important, these should be bookmarked.
Oh, that's so
But you don't
brutal,
understand.
though.
They don't need to be bookmarked forever. I just want them there as long as I want them there. But yeah, also I should probably bookmark them.
Now,
I
see,
have
I have this problem where I bookmark them. I don't necessarily keep too many tabs open at one time, but I have a graveyard of websites that I have the intention of going back to, and I never do. And I don't
Yeah.
categorize them at all, so it's just this giant list of everything that caught my attention. And I started writing a service to address that for myself, and I never finished it because I got distracted because I didn't have the things open that I was using to. Now I get
I
it.
could finish that for you.
Now it
I've written
makes
one already.
sense. Well, we should have the code still in the thing. But anyway,
I know.
back to the topic at hand. You want
Yeah,
to
we
help me
could
write
build
a
that.
photo booth?
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
I think
Yeah,
that
I
would
would.
be
I
some pretty
mean,
neat stuff.
don't I take your time. This is a passion project. Also, if it gets too involved, please let me compensate you. I'd be happy to do so. But yeah, no, it'd be cool. I don't know. I still don't really know where they would upload to all the photos, but I feel like because I just am a person that doesn't have a Discord for various reasons, partially because I don't necessarily want to keep it up, but um whatever. I don't have one for the time being. So my thought was maybe just um rooting them all in like a uh OneDrive folder that's got like kind of an open link to it. So that way we can just have a chat command and go, "Hey, here are all of the Pootie Kuda photos from 2024." And then they can just clear every year, or I'll clear them or whatever, because I have an insanely large amount of OneDrive space. So
Fair,
it would
fair.
work. Yeah. So
I could always
it's a
just,
thought.
as a unofficial president of your social media presence and fan club, I could always just add a dedicated space in my Discord server.
Yeah, I mean, please, free promotion for you too. So wherever makes the most sense, wherever you guys want to route them, I'm cool with it.
We'll put them up
Also,
on the
hi Gold.
website we haven't built for you yet. Go, welcome, much love to you.
Indeed.
What
I'm
kind
so
of
happy to
stuff?
see what?
As you like get more into Twitch, because you're a big one for watching Twitch, and now you're like making your own presence on there and actually building a pretty reasonable audience. What kind of stuff do you see that makes you say, I want that? I want that to happen. I want to do that. I want that thing to exist for me.
Ooh, that's a good question, honestly. I, because it's all a passion project and it's all the way I kind of approach streaming, I guess, is because I do it. So, first off, I do it all for fun. Like any monetary gains, I'll go back into the stream. And while I don't currently have like a set, like, oh, we're going to buy this next with stream money, we have some things that are in the works. We got some things eventually coming that we'll build out a goal, whatever.
A
But
second
I,
desk.
a second desk. Well, it's in the basement. We had to disassemble that one for the time.
A
It was
standing chair, yeah.
we're
I don't even know how that would work, but
no, I don't. It just it just turns into like I don't know, like a background. Like it just flattens itself out, and it's like a little wall. It suddenly is like a sound panel, chair slash
or like
acoustic
one of
panel.
those assistive chairs that's like a recliner until you hit the
Oh
thing, and then
yeah,
it helps you stand up, and then it's a standing chair. You're just leaning back against it instead of sitting down.
there you go.
I am a
I
lazy
do tend
man.
to lean on walls. Yeah, no, that's so funny. No, it's probably more like a tiny stream deck. Like that's more in the line of things, but anyway, so I really don't do it for all of that. And so it really all of my streams and like fun with it come from a place of I like performing for people. This is a safe and fun space for me to do so. Also, lots of friends show up, and also lots of not always like real life friends show up too, which is really cool. That like, hey, you all came back to actually hang out with me. That's awesome. It's like
Yeah,
really friends in real life or not, if you're coming in at any point to hang out, like it's the biggest compliment you could pay me. It means you value what I'm doing and you care enough at least to put me on as your radio, and it's very flattering. So it definitely kind of fuels the fire. It's very fun. And it's just also validating that like I'm not singing to a wall. So that's sick. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I've always kind of like I said, I've never really been one to be like I love promoting myself. Like, yeah,
right, right.
Amaya, let's get my own shirts or like so I guess with all when it comes to all of that, it's taken me a while to get used to the fact that like, yep, if you want people to know about you, you just have to tweet about it or X about it or I don't know, check a box about it. You got to just go and be a little obnoxious from time to time and it's all good. Um but yeah, so it's definitely gotten me more comfortable with at least kind of branching out there. But I guess because I kind of have always come from that like mindset, I very much set my expectations low, and then I'm surprised when things happen. Then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, that's a nice surprise. Like when the space vixen rated me, like that was so sweet of her. And they she didn't have to do that, and that was just like, wow, it's been months. Also, hi, how are you? Really cool individual. Also, some of the most informational and funny reels you'll ever see on Instagram,
yeah,
TikTok, wherever she reposts. She's so incredibly smart too.
hundred
Just
percent.
such a cool person. Yeah. And but yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh my god, yeah, it's just all these little connections that you make, and it's very flattering when people, like, sure, one, remember you, two, care enough to yeah, throw neat things or opportunities or whatever your way. So I think I set my expectations low, and whatever happens happens, and I just kind of roll the dice, and I just kind of, I think I'm kind of a what you see is what you get kind of person. So that's kind of where I that's how I vibe. But as far as like what I idealize for the stream, I think that with my next year of work coming up, which I don't really intentionally, as you guys kind of know, like I don't really talk too much about what I do. It is kind of the, if you know, that's cool. I just don't ever say it. But
Beekeeping
you
is a
know,
dangerous hobby. I get,
beekeeping
yeah.
is a dangerous hobby, and it also means I have my summers off because reasons. Yeah, you can probably kind of guess from that, which is great. But
The,
photography
the
is
bees
laughing in
keep
the background.
themselves, yeah.
The bees just keep themselves somehow. Yeah, actually, I'm also a snowplow driver. Yeah,
Yeah.
that probably makes more sense. I'm a Zamboni driver. um,
They work all year.
yeah, depending on, I guess, where they're
A-
going.
Amateur league
Yeah, they go.
Zamboni driver.
Oh, yeah, true, fair. Um, but yeah, so I think just kind of projecting out and knowing that I won't be quite as crazy busy. I think that some of like the coolest thing that I guess I can envision for myself is like hoping to stream a little bit more consistently, because sometimes I'll skip weeks here and there, which is just going to happen. But if I can even run like a couple streams more consistently a week, like go to two, not maybe every week, but like actually even be able to do it at all that way, I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to do not just streaming, but like I always love doing collaborations with people.
Yeah.
Jay, you and I, just shameless plug. I'm please, like,
I
let's
yes,
collaborate.
I need to get my half of things together and over to you. We have Amaya and I have had a
Yeah,
collaboration stalled in my hands for 2 years now. 2 years now.
I've told Jay whatever you want, I'm down. Let's kind of like my little musical trio in
Yeah.
college. Let's do whatever you want. I'm cool. But yeah, and I can only hope too that with streaming specifically, because it is fun, but also it's just kind of sometimes just landing different opportunities. It's all just kind of who you know, and it's and I don't ever overreach or over ask for things, but it's just, hey, as long as it's fun for me and it's fun for people that I'm hopefully entertaining, I'd love to keep doing it as long as I can, and as long as it's like feasible for me. And you can only hope that it would land other singing opportunities in the future. And that's probably one of the that's always been one of the coolest things about music, is that I remember being a kid in high school in band class, and our music director, who was like a second father to me, honestly, he was always always would say, hey, music, if you stick with it, it can take you places. And he's absolutely correct, and it always has, which is I never ever envisioned for myself Zeldathon or either the Coliseums or any of that stuff. So I think that's like really I like the online thing and kind of like the safety even of like, oh, there's not a live audience, you had some notes that sounded like farts sometimes. It's fine. People are still vibing, like it's cool, and it's its own fun, right? But but also it's also like where it takes you beyond that, and the
Yeah.
relationships that you can form. And if not for all those things, I wouldn't be here talking to
No,
you guys.
100%. Like, I have built a family out of the people that have met through these circumstances. I can't, in good conscience, call any of it working. We do stuff, we have our good causes that we help out and all of that, but none of it's work. Some of it takes effort, yeah,
Yeah,
but none of it's work. I have my family that has adopted me, and I have adopted them from all of that stuff. And
for sure.
I am going to stick by that story as I attempt to leverage my connection synergies into forward career momentum. How many
Yeah,
buzzwords can I
yeah.
pack into that sentence? But no, it really is. It really
Synergy.
is. It really is about the people. And it makes all of it so much more fun when you can go do these things together.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't ever want to become somebody that's just so engrossed in just streaming, and just that, and not really, I don't know, if you're just so disconnected from your audience and why you're doing it in the first place, and you're not having fun, like what are you doing it for anymore?
Yeah.
But Yeah, and then I think we share that in common for sure.
The
Just
thing is,
knowing you as a human being, you know?
whatever you are doing, and Fuzzy is like the prime example of this. Whatever you are doing, someone out there wants to see it.
I think
Someone is
so, yeah.
interested. If you're just
Yeah.
getting started in streaming, don't focus on like what am I going to do that's popular. Focus on what am
Right.
I going to enjoy doing enough that people will want to hang out and watch me do it. Because someone wants to
Yeah.
see whatever you're interested in.
I there's a lot of merit to that. And every time that I've ever heard any of my favorite streamers that like have quote unquote made it or whatever, it's always the first piece of advice is like don't get into it as a career or a job. Just do it on the side because you like it. And if it turns into more, that's great. And if it doesn't, hey, do it because you like it, you know? And I think there's a lot to be said for stuff that is born out of hobbies and passions. And well, it's cool if your passion project can make you some money on the side eventually. That's awesome.
I'm
You
over here
know,
shaking my little cup in the chat just in case.
yes, yes, and actually, I'm gonna do a shameless plug for you. You guys, where's the little like I don't know chat command for your own website? Because please go check out the game. Go check out
we got
the
we
Can
got the
Do
can
game.
do command now. You can go check
Oh, I
that one out
love
on
it,
itch. Thank you
you
again
guys.
very very much for your support on that one. We're really proud of that one.
I
I'm really pleased
procrastinate
with it.
more than I'm willing to admit playing that game and giving myself a milestone. Okay, we talked about this in the break, but like yeah, definitely have some undiagnosed ADHD, 100%. And when I'm like, oh yeah, I can prioritize this or that, no, stay on track, this is what I need to do, and when I do it I can play it, I will reward myself with a 10-minute break of Can Do, like yes, and so that's what I'll do.
We
And
are
it's
an
just
enrichment. We are for a reward.
yeah, it's so good. No, it's so much fun, and like please go support them. Please actually go buy the game for 250 or like me, throw them more than what they're asking cuz it's so worth it. But it's such a great little relaxing game and I absolutely can't like I want more of it. So I can't wait till your next project comes out. It's going to be so cute and good.
I was gonna say,
Yes.
have you seen any of the cafe game streams that I've done recently?
Unfortunately, I just haven't been in a place where I am able to even put it on in the background. I've just been like kind of going in the last week, weekend as well.
Man,
But
Understandable given the
yeah,
time of year.
yeah,
yeah,
very
but no,
very much so.
I've seen it pop up. I'm just always like, oh no, Jay's doing his thing. I can't tune in right now. But
One
yeah,
when I get it to a point where it's finished enough. I know you've mentioned something about being interested in streaming more games too, and I know you have games in
yeah.
mind, but if you ever want to like try it out on stream, I think it might suit you well. I think you would really enjoy this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Especially the
and
chat interaction.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, all
we're
right.
baking in all
Yeah.
the Twitch interaction, so you can play it with your friends on Twitch. I like
I
that
like
idea.
it. Ooh, I like that a lot. Yeah, that's thank you guys. That's really cool cuz like I don't know, for somebody like me that like I'll watch other people do their whole little crowd control thing. Crowd control, huge props to them. Such a cool thing that it exists and of course it works very well for people that have an audience of at least 20 people, and you know if those people are going to pay to play a little bit, like that's awesome, but I don't have
Yeah.
that. And so to actually have any interactivity at all, that's cool. Yeah, I'm really excited. And the graphics on like Can Do and I know the cafe game coming up, they're so reminiscent of like Stardew Valley in terms of visuals. And then I know I don't know about the cafe one, but at least as far as Can Do goes, I know you only compose just like a couple little tracks for it, but like it's just so soothing, and it's very like
We've
Stardew vibes
definitely
with the
like tried to
music.
take the cozy and cute knobs and turn them both all the way up to 11 on this one. We're going all
Cool.
out in the
Yeah, I'm
aesthetic there.
really very excited. It'll
You
be
know,
cool.
I'm hyped for it. I'm hyped for it. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the loop as that comes along too. Um,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
Speaking of games, unless you had another question for me,
Oh,
I don't
go
know.
go right ahead, please.
I it's funny because so to give a little quick history, Vontography, he does photography. Wow, who could have predicted? But he's shot photos of
Is that
um
where it comes from? I thought it was some kind of family
whoa,
name.
whoa. Well, it's kind of a fusion, yeah. Yes, Red bookmarking the game. Yeah, check it out. And you can always play it first on the browser. So awesome. But anyway, so he's always done He's loved his action sports photography and his cosplay photography. And Fuzzy's laughing, and I feel like I should stop and ask. I don't know.
No, we just had a visit from the amazing, talented Vontography in the background, just kind of peeking his head in.
Oh, he was at. Oh, I'm
We,
dude.
we, we
I
still
have.
need Vonto emotes. I need to put that on my list. We still need Vonto emotes for your
Oh,
channel.
do I have that? Oh, look at him! Look at him back there! Look at him in his bald glory. I love him. I say that endearingly. I love you. I love you, baby boy. Anyway, but yeah, he does have his emotes. I don't. I should have a forever sub to him, but he used to be like the streamer out of the two of us. Like back in, I want to say like 2018, 19, and he would do like photo editing streams, and he would do photo critique streams mostly with the cosplay photos and stuff, and have a bunch of guests, and it was very kind of like this what we're doing right now, but
Yeah.
pre Twitch guest feature. So a lot more work went into the back end of that, and it was just a lot more setup, but it was all very cohesive. He had his own layout. It was very fun. But I didn't stream anything. I like very occasionally streamed Donkey Kong Country 2 and went, "Wee, I have a capture card now. Yay." So, yeah. Anyway, I don't remember where I was going because we were laughing at him, and then I just completely fell off my own train of thought.
Well,
But
we were
Something
talking
about
games.
games.
Yeah.
we were talking games, yeah. Oh, that's what it was. So back in like 2020, he had, oh my god, this was fun. I think so there were a couple different streams we had where it was very interactive, and one was like for a charity, and it was a charity stream, and if we hit a certain goal, we would do different things, or he would put on different types of streams or whatever. And one of the streams he promised people and never delivered was a DDR stream, Dance Dance Revolution, and it was just because he fell out of streaming after a certain point. I know, yeah, Buffu used to be in the chat all the time for Vontog streams, and sometimes like I would usually be working, sometimes in the same room, and we had like a pull down green screen, so it was like kind of a partition in the same room.
Oh
So I would
man.
just stick my headphones on sometimes and be like, I gotta work, I gotta just ignore him.
I need
But
one
no,
of
they were
those.
fun. They
I
were
need a
really
pull
fun. But
down green screen.
yeah, I mean, we have it somewhere for sure. I don't know that we'll. I don't know. I don't even know where we'll hang it up. I don't know. I don't know where it is. But anyway, yeah, we never delivered on the DDR thing, but we do have now a like actual made out of like not plywood, but it's like a wooden base to it underneath like the heavy duty plastic,
Yeah.
paneling on top. It's a USB dance pad that functions with Stepmania, and you got all your DDR stuff and some of your fan tracks and whatever. And I'm kind of low key, like, we did Jay helped me run and test run again when all my crap was breaking
I
for
was gonna
Mario
bring up
DDR.
that it does not clear him of his debt for a DDR stream,
No.
but at Waluigi's Arcade Heist, the side quest for Zeldathon, you did
Yeah.
DDR Mario Mix in.
Yeah, I wish I had the video for that. I don't, but
I'll see if I can find it, or Fuzzy can find it. Um,
okay.
with all the hats, I remember the hats, just a pile of hats, a stack of hats.
Yeah.
And the performance that I volunteered you for without warning you, where you would sing Snake Eater in your best Toad voice.
Yep. Yep. And thankfully, yo, yeah, spicy gnocchi. That's my sis. Hey, say hello. She was there. Yep, Toad voice. And thankfully, so the friends that were on my couch that night, we already kind of had a joke like, oh, that would be so like I was like, oh yeah, I'll sing Snake Eater or make it a donation goal because it was your donation goal if you met it for your run in the beginning of that little weekend marathon and you didn't hit it. So I was like, well, I gotta hit it for Jay, for us. And then somebody brought it up between our friends, and they were like, that'd be kind of funny if you pulled off like Toad, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that though, but like, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't know. And then Jay just live on stream, beginning of the dance run, Valent tells me if we hit a certain donation goal, which I did not think we would hit, yeah, that I would sing, not him, not Jackson, who was also commentating, but I would
Yeah.
sing, yeah, Toad Snake Eater, which I did in all my screaming Toad voice glory,
It
and
it was majestic. I am so proud of us too because that really was a big stretch that we put up for that
Yeah,
segment, and I
that made
am
a pretty big
amazed
dent.
that people actually went for it. I'm so proud of them. So proud of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. No, it was really, really cool. And really cool to see the community actually like step up and want to make that happen and torture me.
It was
But yeah, that
it
was
was
such a fun
suffering for
run.
a good cause. Suffering
Yeah.
for a good cause.
Also, fun fact, that was like my first like video game run ever for any kind of event. Like I've never actually played a game for, actually not even at Zeldathon have I really played anything, but I'm hoping to change that this summer. I have a game. I have a game in mind. It may or may not involve a crossbow, and that's all I'm going to say. That's all you get.
Game involving a crossbow at Zeldathon.
I'm sure you could think of it if you did a heckin'
You
think
got
hard
me.
enough, you would. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I cheat. I don't play any of the actual games. My whole bit has been making my own game. That way I know I'm the best person in the world at it. Although I have
That's fair.
discovered that I'm not anymore
Yeah.
as I keep getting beaten again and again and again.
As people are like getting better at, they're grinding out your own games and they're
Yeah.
just like, yo, they're like almost treating it like a roguelite or something.
It really is that. It really is that.
So
We had
funny.
someone submit Zelda Tilt and Tumble for GDQ. It didn't get in this time around. Um, but what
They
I
should
have
resubmit.
heard, what I have heard, is the plan for winter now is instead of just resubmitting, they are recruiting people and resubmitting it as a race.
Hey, oh my god, that would be such a fun race.
I would
Um,
love to see
oh,
that. Oh, I would love to see that.
you guys, if you don't know, Jay, I think single-handedly, maybe with some of Fuzzy's help too.
But Fuzzy was
No,
a
not
big
mine.
help. He's going to deny
Okay,
it, but
Oh wait,
Fuzzy
no,
was a
no,
big help.
no, that's right. I did test it and find I found the bug where you got infinite negative health
Yes.
oh well,
because you could
yeah,
just keep taking damage and it wouldn't stop at zero. You just kept taking damage negatively.
so yeah, Fuzzy, yeah, he just played a little part in the but they basically came up and reprogrammed this whole, I mean mostly from the ground up from what I know, but it was Zelda 1 and you guys did it in Kirby Tilt and Tumble style, and you watched Link roll around with his own
Motion
little custom
controllers and
rolling
yeah.
sprite. Yeah, little rolling start Link. And then the music, oh god, the music killed me. As you roll faster, the music speeds up with Link speeding up and just like trails, guns ablaze, and the music's gonna also just woo, it's gonna zoom. And then you slow down and it kind of is like, oh, it's normal. It like gaslights you. It's so funny.
We have
But
absolutely
yeah.
repurposed that mechanic in the cafe game. Just a little bit of a spoiler since you haven't seen it yet. Um, Different animals come in as your customers. Just little cutesy animal. What you get it.
Yeah.
You know when there is a sloth coming in as your next character because the music just kind of ramps down and slows down until he leaves.
You did show me this. Oh yeah, it put the
It's
biggest
too
smile on
cute.
my face.
It's too
It's
cute.
so
I
it's so
absolutely
good.
love it.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for this game to come out. It'll be adorable.
So
But
beyond stuff for
yeah.
Zeldathon, what and DDR, which you have played, if you were running a game for an event, so it's something you are comfortable with playing relatively quickly, and you'd probably practice a bit, what would your go-to be? What would you submit
Um
as your game?
yeah, I disclaimer, I don't think I would get it unless I really had some time to grind out like a lot of practice and actually consistently get certain tricks to speed up my own run, but the fastest I've ever been able to beat any kind of like, I don't know, like long enough game platformer in general is like a minute, not a minute, an hour and 15 minutes for Donkey Kong Country 2. So it would 100% be that game. It's definitely like top 5 games. Yeah.
I will keep
So
that
that
in
would be
mind.
the
We'll
one.
have to mark that one down when we go cast our votes for all the other events.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's fun. I haven't really like brushed up on it in terms of like really playing it super fast and not taking a ton of deaths. But when I can get consistent at it, I'm pretty I can clear it with like, maybe one death kind of thing,
Yeah.
and very, very minimal, if not like no tricks, no glitches. But um yeah, I mean it was just something that I kind of messed around with in 2018, 19. It was a very like GDQ inspired, like, I love this event, I love the charity thing, I love speed, like I love the idea of speed running, but I don't think I could do it. And then I just kind of like started doing the game
You're
and
you're
went,
you're
oh,
grinding out runs. You're like, okay, maybe we're not talking world record material, but I can get through it at a competent pace.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then I kind of tried doing that a little bit for the original DKC, and I'm not as good at it, and the physics are a little different, and your Kongs are a little slower. There's different mechanics to, what works best in those levels, but like it's also pretty fun. It's learnable is
Yeah,
what I would say.
yeah.
Yeah. DKC3 though, I'm like, man, you got to go collect crap, like I'm out.
This is too
I
much.
don't want to do that one.
When they moved into 3 dimensions, when they got to Donkey Kong 64, and just the sheer
Oh, yeah.
amount of stuff in that game. Oh, it's
Yeah.
unreal. It's
I
unreal.
mean, a few years ago, I replayed most of it, and I finally got the DK coin that I just never got as a kid. I got the rare coin, no problem. Always got stuck at that stupid arcade machine, and I could never unlock the final boss. And then finally, I mean, it's still, as an adult, it took me hours. I wasted so much of my time trying to get this coin. Finally did it. And then it was like, hey, do you want to play original Donkey Kong but harder? And I was like, no, I don't care. I got the coin. I'm out. Bye. I'm
We
so
good.
scarred from this.
Yep, we
And
good.
yeah. And then I went and I was like, all right, it's final boss time, and it launches you up to like K. Rool in his boxing ring. And I was like, okay, I probably could beat this. I got so far, but I was like, I'll do it next week. And next week never came. I was
Next
so
week
like,
was 20 years later.
yeah, kind of. I just never came back to it. I had good intent, but the point was I did the thing I was not able to do as a kid, so I was like happy enough.
Every
But
little
yeah,
step,
that
every
game
little step.
that
There's a
game is
game,
something.
boy. Let me tell you about speed running games you couldn't beat as a kid. There was a game for the Radio Shack color
Ooh.
computer, the Tandy
Oh.
Coco 3, by the Learning Company, which made educational games. And it was
I
called,
kind of vaguely remember them.
yeah, they did like Rocky's Boots was one of the big ones they did. I think they published Gertrude's Secrets. I'm sure they had others. But they had one back then called Robot Odyssey. And Robot
Ooh.
Odyssey taught you electronics. You built circuits inside robots, and it had this adventure mode where you find these three robots and you have to wire them up to do certain tasks because, you know, sometimes you had to hold down buttons in sequence, but you're only one person. And sometimes you had to sneak through a maze, but people aren't allowed, so there's a guardian keeping you out and all of that whatnot. I was 5. I did not like
Oh no.
you got individual not gates and timer circuits, and I was 5. Almost 40
There
years later, I've beaten this damn game.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you did, and I bet you felt so proud because you're like, yeah, that was actually hard as crap for like a fifth grader or a five-year old. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
5-year-old, but probably also a fifth grader to be like, let's be real.
Oh yeah, no,
Games
the
were
the
not
puzzles were ridiculously difficult when you got to the end of it.
so in the Midwest around me. I mean, I don't care. Everybody knows I'm from Wisconsin at this point, I think, because I just said it and it's fine.
I think we
But
can hear it.
I think you can hear it, yeah. Although a little, unfortunately, I have just usurped it over the last 20 years, but it's cool. In Milwaukee a few weeks ago now, we had the Midwest Gaming Classic convention, and it is really cool because one of the big rooms they feature there is the gaming museum. And you go from like pretty much the oldest consoles in existence, the beginning of gaming, all the way up to your PS5 and your whatever. And they have like one or two games you can kind of swap between for each system. And it's just like, you think back to, And while I know there's a little bit of an age gap between you guys and me, I think we all can relate to the fact that like our childhood games, just a little bit, not like a lot. And I'm not trying to out anybody here, but I just know that like I looked up the reading company and I was like, oh yeah, Reader Rabbit, Carmen San Diego. So those were like my childhood games from
Yep.
that company. But I'm like, I don't recognize the ones you're throwing out there. But I'm like, oh nope, but this was my generation of that, basically. Yeah. But even some of the Super Nintendo games that like didn't always come with manuals because your family was like, let's buy it from the rental store because
Yeah.
it's cheaper. So you just figure it out. And not all games were made equal in terms of like, hey, like it's one thing for a game to be difficult, but for a game to be very non-intuitive and nondescript of where you're what you're even supposed to be doing, and then also just be difficult for that reason, it's just like bad game design, right? And so there definitely were games that there was a big scale of that going on from like you had your Disney games that were just tough platformers. They were not
Yeah.
bad games. They were pretty well designed actually overall. They had some flaws, but like they were tough platformers. But then there were other games like Scooby Doo Mystery Machine for the whatever the heck it was called for SNES, and you're like, what's going on?
What do I
Where
even
are we
do
supposed to be
here?
going?
Yeah.
How do we solve the mystery? Like who do I need to talk to? Because it's just a game of it's like point and click, and you're just talking, and you're like, cool. Um, what's another example? Oh, this is a nightmare of a game. Porky Pig's Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fever dream. You ever play that one, Fuzzy? It's
It's
crazy.
impressive. The soundtrack is
It's
great. The soundtrack is
it's
great.
it's questionable, but anyway. um, like that's one where you're just like similarly like the platforming not great. Where the heck are you supposed to be going in this level? Who knows? So you just had more of that. And then coming back to like Midwest Gaming Classic, um it's so interesting for me to play these game systems that just weren't even remotely around, or I wasn't remotely around for, rather they
Yeah.
were around before me by 10, 20 years, whatever. And you're like, oh my god, so you play this with a knob and like what button? I have two buttons, but how can I not figure this out? Like, but that's just what it was, and like you just sort of had to figure it out. And of course, if you owned it, you eventually, I'm sure you would. But yeah. Oh, Spicy Gnocchi, did you beat Porky Pig in your adult life? Nice. I tried. I
Victories.
tried when I think I was in my early 20s when I actually tried again, and I got close, but I just kind of gave up. I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I just like didn't. But that's awesome. Yeah, Punch Out. Good game, but hard. Yeah, Lion King.
Which
Lion King, yeah. Well, I could go on, but go ahead.
there's a gap in there too. With the very earliest consoles, you had a control stick or a knob and maybe a button if you were lucky. The game couldn't be unintuitive because you had two things you could do. You could press a
Yeah.
button or you could move a stick. And it
Yeah.
had to correlate immediately to something that happened on screen. And
Mhm.
now there's been enough work done that they've learned how to make a proper tutorial. They have learned how to uh, show you how to play the game interactively as you get started. But there
Mhm.
was a gap in between where you were starting to get more control over the game. There were more things you could do in the game, but they didn't realize they had to show you that up front and teach you how to play. There are some masterful examples of how to do it right. I've watched way too many videos that are video essays about the first level of Super Mario Brothers. And
Mhm.
like the way the level is designed is to teach you one at a time how each of the controls work and what they do and what to expect in the level. And then they had, the other 31 levels that were just a terrible challenge. But they
Yeah.
started with one that was laid out to show
Yep.
you what to do. And
Yep.
so many
Yep.
games didn't think about that. And as someone that
No.
makes games, I am so guilty of that because I know how it
Mhm.
Yeah.
works. It's
Right.
intuitive
Right.
to me. I have to hand it to Fuzzy with no instructions so that he can tell me he can't figure out what to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. And I think it's hard. I would imagine it's hard. I don't know. I don't make games, but I would imagine it's hard to find that balance of like, how do I show the player without totally being like, hey, here's the tutorial for half an hour, like,
Yeah.
cuz or longer, but it's a fine line, right? Because you do want to show them the ropes, but you don't want to be so hand-holdy that you're like, give me the controller
Right.
for most of your time here. And it's just yeah. And then it's so interesting too, because like I I just have friends from all walks of life, and one of my best friends did not grow up gaming like at all. Had interest in it, just never really had a system for herself. And now, as an adult, has only like kind of, I would say, in the last 10 years, really kind of stepped into gaming and started off with like some Stardew Valley stuff. And she definitely still struggles with like platformers and some 3D games and just but it's just the basic like controls, even the mechanisms behind like, how do
Yeah.
I even like, I remember years ago watching her play the Stanley Parable, which is just it's a little indie game on Steam. It's a crazy game. It's really cool,
It
but
is.
just watching her
Yep.
go for like 5 minutes before I think me or Vontography went, okay, you've had enough time. Like we're pulling you away from this controller. We're sorry. We cannot, like, we're going to barf. Like you just we'll start you on a different game, because that game is mostly just like move around, interact. There's not like a whole lot of action in it. So we were like, yeah, this is like good baby's first. Like, let's
Yeah.
give you a controller. But yeah, it is interesting to see people who have never been in a really, like, I guess, gaming space, and then trying to like get them, like, win them over in different genres of games,
Yeah.
and finding like what works kind of for everybody. And I don't think there's necessarily an amazing answer for that in all genres, because yeah, you're not going to pick up Halo and be like, yeah, let's go. Like I don't
You're
know.
right. I'm not going to pick up Halo.
I don't know. I
Someone
was not.
parks a tank on top of me every time I try to pick up Halo.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm always trying to go for anytime I'm in any kind of first person shooter. I'm just like, where's the vehicle? I know I love games, but I have no chance in these ones. Like third
Right.
person shooters,
Yep.
fine. First person shoot. Nope, give me the tank. Give me that helicopter. I'll try to crash that into you, but that's all I got.
I
Oh.
have a long history of being terrible at first person shooters, and Fuzzy is intimately familiar with that.
It was one of the few times back in the okay, kids, back in the old days, to play games together, you actually brought like 5 TVs to one house and multiple Xboxes and put people in different rooms
Yeah.
because you had to have multiple consoles and multiple TVs, and that's how you had played video games together.
LAN
And we had
Yep.
party.
we had a LAN party with 4 Xboxes and 4 big TVs and 15 people over, and every group was in their own room so they could see each other screen but not the other team. And
That's fun.
for whatever reason, Jason, I'm not joking, kept spawning directly in front of where I was driving the
Oh
tank.
no, that's so
Because I would kill him
unfair.
and he would spawn at his
Oh.
base where I was at, and I would be circling the base and he would spawn. Like, I couldn't have stopped if I wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But within the space of a minute, I killed him 3 times by literally him spawning directly in front of the tank. And he's like, I am never playing Halo again. And I don't think he ever has.
Yeah, our
Yeah,
RNG
yeah,
just
no,
had it in for me, and I just kept becoming like tread. So,
yeah.
but it's pretty common
I
to my first person experience, which is why I write things where you sort grocery store shelves now instead of where you fight off the enemies, because I can't fight off the enemies. I'm not going to write something I can't play.
Fight or flight, we're gonna run. Yeah,
Yeah,
me and Jay, we're just running.
100%.
even as even as something as basic, talking about people picking up a controller not know what they're doing, something as basic, you know, the A button on the bottom is usually the do button, and the one to the right is usually like a cancel or a run. It's like basic, like push okay. Well, which one's okay? I don't know. Anybody who's played a game in the last 30 years
Yeah,
knows that. But if you've
it's
never,
ingrained.
you look at this and it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. There's 16
Right,
buttons on this thing. What am I doing?
right, right.
This is why, here's another history lesson. This is why uh, Solitaire and Minesweeper and Free Cell came with Windows. It was to teach you how to
Um,
use a mouse.
yeah,
Solitaire existed to teach the concept of hold and dragging a card because that was a concept people did not know how to do with a mouse. Minesweeper existed to teach people about right clicking because a 2-button mouse was a new thing.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, and even the
Yeah,
stroller wheel was like that was revolutionary too when it came around.
yeah.
Yeah.
And these are things that it since they've slowly removed solitaire and stuff. It's an optional package and blah blah. It's not on people don't play it
Yeah.
because why would you? There's a million other things you could do. That those basic computer skills have gone away.
Right.
There are kids
Right.
that don't know how to use a mouse because their entire interaction with technology has been on a touch screen.
It's been on a trackpad or
Mhm.
a touch screen. Yeah, 100%. And
They know how to swipe,
yeah.
but they don't know how to like hold and drag something.
No, no, I definitely as I break like when I have to break things down for people that just are not very computer minded or or whatever however you want to phrase it, they're not dumb. It's just they don't clearly they just don't
Yeah.
they
They're
I find
unfamiliar.
myself
Yeah.
they just are, exactly. It's just a lack of experience. It's so interesting having to be like, "Hey, click, hold, and drag this thing." And then when you say that, people they're like, oh, there's this extra step. Got it. I have to hold it, and then I can do whatever." Or,
Yeah.
like on a trackpad, you have to typically on most of them, you're clicking on the right side of it with two fingers. And if you just don't
Yeah.
know that, or if
And
you
that's
don't,
different.
it
That's
is.
not standard. And that's what kills everybody on trackpads is that's entirely manufacturer and driver. That's
Yeah.
can be
Sure,
wildly
for
different.
sure.
You have
Yeah,
no
it's
idea.
true. It's true. And like the like little the tiny, Chromebooks whatever, those don't really have buttons. They just have trackpad. So that's where that comes into play where I've seen it before. And then most laptops they'll at least have the buttons, but when you have people who don't even they go from only trackpad to then, "Oh, I got buttons up here." You find they don't really use the buttons and you're like, what are you doing? You have buttons. They work better. Like, what are you doing? Because yeah, you can
Amaya
use the
has
trackpad
seen
to click, but
Amaya has seen
I've seen my
firsthand.
fair
I have
share.
like a small iPad that I use for music stuff, like at events, and that's
Yeah, yeah,
all I use it for. And part of the reason for that is someone as versed in and immersed in the world of computers as I am, I can't figure out how to use an iPad. I don't know what I'm doing because it's just different
iPads are
enough, and
weird.
I haven't had one forever.
Same. Yeah, same. I mean, I've had mine for long enough, but there's just some pieces of functionality where you're like, I'm in Microsoft Word.
This isn't
Why?
what I expected. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and some of it's the Microsoft to Apple like crossover, not
Yeah.
Yeah.
being happy, but some of it is just like, why did you choose this? This was a choice somebody made. Why? Like I remember
Hey,
like,
hey,
oh
you're
no, go
getting a
ahead.
calculator finally.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
They're
that's not needed.
finally they're finally actually putting an actual calculator actually from Apple on the iPad
Wow,
in
wow.
2024.
2020. Let's go. Let's go. Good job, Apple. Good job. Way to
About
go.
time. I
Giving people a
completely forgot
calculator.
how to add in the past 30 years. Yes.
Dang. That's it's been a minute. Oh, I forgot that wasn't like yeah, because I did have to install that on my iPad. Dang.
I had to go
Wow.
pick up another one. Yeah. It's
You could
wild.
actually the spotlight search omni search thing, you could just type math into that and it would do it. That's why they never built an
Um,
actual calculator app.
did not know.
People are like, no, I want a calculator app because I want all the other buttons, not just
Yeah.
Well,
simple things I can
yeah,
type in.
yeah. And that's
Yeah.
not it's not a big demand. I mean, it's
Y-
just not
It's a
hard, right?
calculator app. It's the first thing they teach you how to program.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
would think so. Yeah,
it
I would
was
think
one of the
it
big
is.
selling points on the original Macintosh is that they had one of the best working and prettiest calculator apps. Like when the
Mm,
Mac came out way back in
sure.
the Stone Age,
Yeah, the floppy disks running everything. Yeah.
and then they
I
got
remember
away from
playing
it.
like Oregon Trail on some of those. Not like the first iterations of them, but still it was one that had the floppy disks as like a kid.
12
Well, that's what
grandfather
we're writing
clocks and
down.
one hat. Let's go! We're
Yeah,
crossing the
yeah.
country.
Dying of syphilis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dying of or
Okay,
whatever
clip
else.
that.
Dysentery. I'm sorry, dysentery.
Well,
Oh,
you pick your poison.
you pick whatever you want. I don't think. Yeah, you're right. That's like the mature rated version of that game, probably.
Dying
You
of
win some, you lose some.
syphilis.
I don't know. Can you die? Can you die of that?
Look, if you
There
dedicate
you go.
yourself
There's a
enough
clip
to,
for the
not with that attitude, you can't.
We're
Goodness.
gonna conquer that today. All right. Anyway, carry on.
Oh man. Oh man. So much good stuff.
Oh no. Yeah, he heard that.
All right. Well, I think
I
we're.
was like, it's something. Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Jake,
I think we're
take us
just
home.
about to wrap up here. I'm not going to take up your whole evening, and sooner or later, Fuzzy and I got to go get something to eat anyway. We got to figure out what we're getting. Chat, what should we get?
No worries.
Kentucky Fried Turkey? Is that a thing? It should be a thing. Do you like turkey? Like Thanksgiving dinner style turkey? Is that your jam? Are you into that? Am I the only one?
I like that.
Turkey.
Turkey's good. Turkey gets overlooked a lot.
I think so.
Speepo says can of one bean. Yes, we'll split the bean
One
like
bean.
in the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol where he cuts the incredibly thin slice of the bean. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Amaya, so much for joining us this evening. Thank you, everybody, for
Yeah.
being here with us. I hope you guys had a good time. I have had an absolute blast. I am aiming to be back with music on Wednesday, and to be honest with you, there's a non-zero chance I'm going to be streaming Cafe in the wee hours tonight. Wednesday?
Nice,
Thursday,
nice.
Friday. Tuesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Your Wednesday. Fight
It's
me.
podcast. It's Wednesday.
Podcast. It's Wednesday. I'm going to be back Friday with music, I hope. I might be playing games tonight. Anyway, point is, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. We will see you next Wednesday if we don't see you before, where we will be joined by the third member of the Hergel Studios development team. You will get to hear from Off by One. Until then, thank you guys so much for being here, and we will catch you next time around.
All right. Thanks for having me,